What if a nation decided to, completely reimagine its future, not with small changes, but with 10 really audacious moonshots? Big, ambitious projects. Well, get ready, because we're diving deep into a fascinating set of proposals from Singapore, a nation already known for, well, thinking ahead. They're grappling with massive global shifts, right? Things like US tariffs, the rise of generative AI. It's a lot. And their prime minister, Lawrence Wong, has called for basically a bold national transformation, the aim, to make Singapore a fearless pioneer. Even, get this, humanity's laboratory for the future.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is just the scale of it, the radical nature of these ideas. We're not talking about minor policy tweaks, but we'll be exploring 10 of the most unconventional, really innovative ideas designed to position Singapore not just for survival, but, for leadership in this changing world. Our mission really is to pull out the key nuggets from these sources and understand not just what they're proposing, but maybe why it matters for you and for the global picture.
Exactly. We'll look at how they're redefining, well, everything. Global trade, governance, education, even national service. So prepare for some genuinely surprising facts and maybe a few aha moments where you realize the future might be a lot closer and maybe wilder than you think. Okay, let's jump straight in with something that sounds, frankly, like science fiction, but it could soon be a global reality, turning AI compute into a global commodity. This idea really starts to shift how we think about global trade, all centered on AI compute. So Singapore is proposing the Sovereign Compute Exchange, the SCX. Imagine the world's first GPU futures market. Yes, graphics processing units, the engines behind AI, treating AI compute just like energy futures. And this isn't just theory. It'd be implemented by their monetary authority, MAS. That's their central bank.
Right.
An IMDO.
An IMDA, yeah, the Infocom Media Development Authority. The big idea, creating these tariff-proof trade instruments where companies could settle deals in like GPU hours instead of dollars.
GPU hours, wow.
It's an incredibly bold move, aiming to make Singapore a global pricing hub for AI compute. And it builds on partnerships they already have, like with Oracle's DGX Cloud and NVIDIA's sovereign AI stuff.
This really raises a big question for you, doesn't it? If a nation can create a market for AI compute that sort of bypasses traditional money and tariffs, what does that actually mean for economic sovereignty? For trade in this digital age? Singapore is leveraging its neutral reputation here, potentially setting a new standard for how critical digital assets are valued, how they're traded globally. Think about oil futures markets, how they influence geopolitics. A GPU futures market could do something similar for AI, but with a twist. Singapore wants to depoliticize access, but it also means, well, nations without much compute become reliant on this new market. It redefines what strategic assets even mean now.
That is a massive shift. What are the immediate ripple effects you'd expect if this GPU futures market actually takes off? Could it fundamentally change global supply chains for AI development? Maybe even create a new kind of, digital resource cartel among nations controlling compute?
Oh, absolutely. The ripples would be profound. It could lead to maybe a more efficient allocation of compute power around the world, maybe democratize access beyond just the huge tech giants. But like you said, it also adds a new layer of economic and potentially geopolitical leverage. And think about data privacy, national security. The market might be neutral, but the data processed on that compute, that still comes from somewhere. So Singapore would need really robust frameworks for trust, for transparency in this new global commodity exchange.
Okay, and speaking of global dynamics, neutrality.
Right.
What about those US-China tech tensions? They're intense. Singapore is proposing something called the Global AI Neutral Zone, GANZ. Picture a special economic area, they mentioned maybe Jurong AI Neutral Zone, where firms usually restricted by these tensions could actually collaborate freely on AI research and development. And the truly radical part, it would operate under UN-style diplomatic immunity principles.
It's diplomatic immunity for AI research.
Yeah, and it goes deeper. This zone would have its own separate legal system, inspired by Dubai's DIFC model.
The financial center, yeah, with its own laws.
Exactly, that kind of independent legal sandbox. But specifically for IP disputes within GANZ. And even more groundbreaking, it would be the first place where human-AI collaboration contracts become legally enforceable, setting global precedents for AI labor law. I mean, how do you even start regulating that kind of relationship?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about dodging trade wars. It's about setting up a whole new paradigm for international cooperation, for legal innovation in the age of AI. It really challenges existing ideas of national sovereignty, doesn't it? Creating a space where the world's top AI minds can work together regardless of politics. and that legal enforceability of human AI contracts, that's particularly forward-thinking. It invents that AI will increasingly be a partner at work. So you need clear rules for responsibility, for ownership, pay. It pushes the boundaries of traditional contract law, how we even define labor.
So while Singapore's creating these cutting-edge legal and collaborative zones for AI, they're also rethinking the basic plumbing of global commerce itself, how trade docs and payments flow. Which brings us to their vision for blockchain trade corridors and tariff-proof trade instruments, TPTI. They want to leverage their existing trade trust platform, turn it into an ASEAN digital trade highway. Imagine a parallel trading system, designed to be immune to traditional tariffs, using tokenized trade, so smart contracts instead of old letters of credit, and crucially, using compute-backed trade credits as a new kind of digital currency for knowledge economy deals. What does compute-backed even mean for currency, though?
Yeah, that's a key innovation there. The idea is that compute power is fundamental, it's measurable, increasingly valuable, like gold or oil used to back currencies, right?
Yeah.
So by backing trade credits with measurable compute capacity, Singapore aims to create something stable, universally relevant, verifiable, a digital asset. It sidesteps reliance on traditional currencies, which can be hit by politics or inflation, and it creates a system that's more resilient to protectionist tariffs. It's a really comprehensive approach, securing their economic future through radical innovation, creating real alternatives to the traditional, often politically messy systems.
Right. So if they can essentially build a whole new digital economic infrastructure, what does this mean for government? How does government itself adapt to this AI-driven future? Let's shift focus now. How are they prepping their government, their citizens, for this future? It's not just about the tech itself, it's about weaving it into society. Proactively, not reactively. So inspired by the UAE's Minister for AI, Singapore is considering a Ministry of Socio-Technical Integration, MSTI. This isn't just another department, okay? It would be tasked with the holistic management of the whole human-AI interface across society. Think about that. MSTI would regulate human-AI collaboration, define new employment contracts, liability, ethics for hybrid workplaces. But how do you even begin to regulate something as fluid as human-AI collaboration? That sounds like a minefield.
It absolutely is a minefield, yeah. But that's exactly why MSTI is designed to be proactive. Instead of reacting to job losses or ethical problems after they cause trouble, they're trying to define the rules before they become crises. This ministry aims to actively shape how humans and AI coexist, how they collaborate, setting ethical and legal frameworks that honestly are desperately needed everywhere. For instance, they'd use agent-based simulations, basically computer models.
Right, like virtual societies to test things out.
Exactly. To test policy ideas related to human-AI interaction before they roll it out. It's about building the societal scaffolding for an AI-integrated future.
And to help make this kind of rapid innovation and integration happen, they're proposing innovation-free zones or experimental law zones, ELZ. These would be special designated areas where radically different legal frameworks apply to innovation. This could mean dynamic regulations, laws that automatically adjust based on real-time data, on how the tech is performing. Unprecedented agility.
Which raises that important question again. How do you regulate tech that evolves faster than you can write laws? These zones are essentially legal sandboxes, allowing for agile governance maybe under international oversight, pushing the boundaries of regulation, but in a controlled way. That dynamic regulation part is really intriguing, moving away from static laws to a system that adapts. As the tech matures, as its impact becomes clearer, it's a very pragmatic approach, isn't it? Trying to balance rapid innovation with necessary safeguards.
But it's not just new laws, it's about actively stimulating innovation. This next moonshot. Public procurement as venture capital, or public procurement moonshots. This mandates all ministries allocate a huge chunk, 10% of their procurement budgets, to unproven tech from young companies, less than 7 years old. We're talking about a staggering $7 billion annual program.
$7 billion, wow.
The government basically becomes Singapore's biggest venture customer, identifying big national challenges, posting bounties for solutions, and crucially, requiring agencies to report failure rates to actually encourage risk-taking.
Yeah, if you connect that to the bigger picture, this is state-driven venture capital, basically. It de-risks early-stage innovation, provides that vital first customer for startups. It transforms government from just a buyer into a key driver of cutting-edge tech, actively embracing risk for long-term gain, building a vibrant local tech scene, and reporting failure rates. That's really important. It builds a culture of experimentation right into the government, acknowledging that innovation is risky. and that learning from failure is vital for progress. It's a powerful way to foster genuinely groundbreaking solutions.
That's a huge commitment, not just money, but a cultural shift inside government. Okay, now let's look at how Singapore plans to cultivate the talent, the leadership needed for this audacious future. And it starts with their own citizens. Moving beyond the training credits they already have, Singapore might pioneer universal reskilling wallets, giving every citizen $50,000 in lifetime learning assets when they turn 25.
$1,000.
Yeah, but there's more. It's complemented by a state-backed, partially paid sabbatical right. Imagine 6 months of paid leave for citizens aged 40 and up, for dedicated reskilling or exploring deep tech. Receiving 80% of their median salary, capped at $6,000 a month. This isn't just job training, it's profound.
It is a profound investment in human capital, in lifelong learning, designed to ensure people can keep adapting in this fast-changing economy. It tackles that workforce transformation challenge head-on, offering a model for how nations can support citizens through tech disruption, making continuous learning a fundamental right, really, an expectation. For you, it means a nation recognizing that today's skills might not cut it tomorrow, and committing serious resources to empower you to adapt, not just leaving it up to individuals or companies. That partially paid sabbatical is especially innovative, giving people the time, the financial space to really dive deep into reskilling.
They're also looking at transforming national service into a digital defense service, DDS, or a civilian innovation corps, CIC. This would be a mandatory 6-month program. Top STEM graduates working on classified AI, quantum cyber projects, inspired by Israel's Unit 8200.
Which is famous for its tech prowess and its startup alumni network.
Exactly. This new service would explicitly encourage commercial spin-offs after service, providing startup grants, mentorship.
That creates a really powerful pipeline, doesn't it, for both national defense and deep tech entrepreneurship. Merging civic duty with commercial innovation, it acknowledges that future security is totally tied to technological leadership, essentially turning national service into an incubator for top talent and new businesses. And by actively encouraging spin-offs, it helps keep that talent in the country, fostering a direct link between public service and economic growth, avoiding the brain drain lots of countries worry about.
And to pull in global visionaries, Singapore wants to attract 10,000 founders every year through programs like the Founders Paradise Visa. That's 100 times bigger than current programs, offering approval within just 72 hours for qualified applicants, including their families, plus long-term residency and benefits. What makes this stand out from other startup visas?
Well, it's a direct play, isn't it? To become the world's most attractive hub for innovation and entrepreneurship, recognizing that talent is global now, and actively competing for the best and brightest to fuel their vision. That 72-hour approval, combined with comprehensive long-term residency, family benefits, it drastically cuts the friction, the uncertainty that usually comes with moving internationally as an entrepreneur. It signals to founders. Singapore isn't just open for business, it genuinely values and invests in your success, your well-being, aiming to create a really sticky environment for sustained innovation.
Okay, finally, maybe the most audacious one of all, the Moonshot University. Singapore proposes establishing Asia's first institution focused exclusively on humanity's hardest challenges, allocating a massive $5 billion to this.
$5 billion for university.
Yeah, and it's not your typical university. Faculty would be practitioners who failed at billion-dollar ventures, bringing that hard-won experience. Students would commit to 10-year missions, not just degrees. And admission through impossible challenges, not grades. With full scholarships and permanent residency for graduates, it's a complete rethinking of higher education.
It really is fascinating, a complete rethink of what higher education can even be. It's about cultivating resilience, right? A long-term problem-solving mindset, attracting people driven by impact, not just credentials. The idea of faculty being people who fail big, that's revolutionary. It emphasizes learning from real-world setbacks, solving problems under pressure, and impossible challenges for admission. Could be anything. Designing a sustainable city, developing clean energy. Huge, complex problems. Exactly. This could redefine how we train the next generation of global problem solvers, focusing on practical application, grand challenges. It's truly a long-term play, investing in the kind of talent that tackles humanity's biggest hurdles.
So what does this all boil down to? We've unpacked 10 incredibly bold moonshots from Singapore, ranging from, GPU futures markets and human AI legal systems, to $50,000 reskilling wallets and a university built on impossible challenges. It's a holistic, really ambitious vision, truly aiming to make Singapore humanity's laboratory for the future, transforming everything: economy, governance, talent, education.
Yeah, in this deep dive into Singapore's ambitious plans, it raises an important question for you, the listener. If a small city state can envision futures this radical and commit serious resources to make them happen, what does that suggest about the scale of ambition, the transformation needed in other nations, or even just in your own thinking, to thrive amid all this global disruption and technological change? What moonshot ideas might you consider for your own community or your own field?
Definitely something to mull over. We hope this deep dive has given you a shortcut to being well informed and maybe spark some big ideas.